Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz, where we are promoting jazz through telling the stories. Our guest today is the wonderful jazz vibraphonist, drummer, pianist, composer, and educator, Baltimore's own Mr. Wally Wolf. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology 101. That's $Jazzology 101. Enjoy the video. Hi, I'm saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz. Our guest today is a dynamic vibraphonist, drummer, and pianist. Not only is he a multi-instrumentalist, but he is also a wonderful composer, educator, and bandleader. He has collaborated with many great jazz artists, including Mogul Miller, Christian McBride, Wynton Marsalis and the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, Robert Glasper, Tim Warfield, Nicholas Payton, Esperanza Spalding, and many more. He has performed throughout the United States and on the international stage. Please welcome my good brother, the great jazz vibraphonist, drummer, and pianist, Mr. Wally Wolf.
Yes, sir.
What's up, good brother?
Everybody, no, I'm good.
Welcome to a conversation in jazz.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think I first met you. I think we were doing something at Westminster.
Okay.
I don't know what it was, jazz night or something. And so I'm playing. I take my little solo mini, and you start playing, and I just like, wow. And I was just like taken aback because you play so effortlessly. You know, and I was like, wow, who's this cat? And I've been a fan ever since, man.
Yeah.
So
thank you, man.
Yeah, I don't even know if you remember that, but yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna guess that had to be probably when I first moved back to Baltimore, which was 2004, 2005, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And not only is your playing seem so imposing in a good way, but you seem imposing because you come in looking cock diesel. You know, we were talking about you working out, that kind of thing.
It's very important to do. It's a part of my daily life.
I had to do a couple push-ups.
Oh, there you go. Before you get in here, right?
How'd you get into that, by the way?
You know, to be honest, some people know this about me, some people don't. I'm a huge fan of wrestling. Like professional wrestling, WWF or WWE,
Oh, you go back to the WWF?
NWA, WCW, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, I used to watch that stuff a lot when I was a kid. I was a big Hulk Hogan fan, you know, just seeing all those guys. And I was always just impressed by their physiques. I was like, man, look at these guys. They look great. And so I told my dad, I said, you know, I want to look like that. And so at a very young age, I would say around the age of 12 or 13, he bought my first sets of weights. And I wasn't doing it all the time, but every now and then I would just go in there and hit the weights because I was tiny.
Really?
Yeah. High school, I was like body weight. I was maybe 140 pounds, 130 pounds. So, you know, I just wanted to bulk up a little bit, you know. So, but that was all because of my love of wrestling.
Yeah, really. Yeah. And now you say you do it every day?
Every single day, including cardio.
Really? That takes a lot of discipline, man.
It does.
Now, does your music, is it the same discipline?
Is my music the same discipline as
like how you approach the discipline of practicing and working on your music? Maybe that comes a little easier.
It does, but you know, it's life happens. You know, I have to figure out when I'm actually going to fit time to actually get down and actually play and practice.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't have time to do that, so what I do, I like to call it mental practicing.
Okay.
Like there will probably be times throughout this interview while you're talking, even when I'm talking, I'm thinking about what am I going to play next week.
Wow.
You know, but it moves very quickly.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, my schedule is, I mean, I'm just a very disciplined person, and a big part of that I owe to my wife too, because she's a trainer. She's also a former ballet. I
Wow.
forget the
Yeah.
word for that.
Yeah.
But she did all of that. So just seeing her passion for it makes me want to be better. So
Beautiful. Well, so what we do here, man, we learn the story behind the story.
there we go.
And man, I've always wanted to just sit down and just like understand your mind and your way of thinking. Because when I see musicians that play as effortless as you, man, I like to understand how they think. You did?
Yeah.
So my first question is, who is Warren Wolf?
Who is Warren Wolf? Warren Wolf is a musician, let's take away the musician. Warren Wolf is a musical healer.
Musical healer?
Yes. A musical healer from Baltimore, Maryland, who has now been playing the vibes, marimba, piano, keyboards, and drums for 41 years.
Ooh.
41 years. I started playing at the age of 3. But that's the short answer. I look at myself as a healer of music, or not of music. I like to perform for people. And, people who have regular jobs, they may be having stressful days at work or whatever in life. My job, I look at it as to go away and take away those problems. And I want them to feel good for the hour or 90 minutes that they paid to come and see me perform. That's one side of who I am. Another side of who Warren Wolf is, I'm a father of 5.
You got 5 kids?
I got 5 kids.
Wow. Okay.
Between the ages of 8 and 23.
Wow.
Married now for 12 years.
Okay.
Or 13, one of the two, somewhere around there. And I'm an educator, composer, as well. There's a lot of job titles that I carry.
You wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
That's all good.
Yeah, got a lot.
Now, you mentioned that you were from Baltimore.
Yes.
And every time I interview somebody from Baltimore, I got to ask them, man, what's in the water in Baltimore, man? You come from a pantheon of just some great musicians, man. Yeah. And what is it, what is it about Baltimore?
I swear, I think it's like just that soul element. No nonsense playing. A lot of other musicians in Baltimore are just like very raw. They just come at you. Yeah. Like I recall somebody saying, they asked one of my favorites. Like I don't have many heroes in this music, but this person I'm about to name is one of them. The great Dennis Chambers, who's from Baltimore. Somebody asked him a question. They said, "How do you do this?" Rumor has it his answer was, "I don't know. I'm from the streets." Yeah. So I mean, granted, I have training. I came up, definitely playing classical music and all that type of stuff. But it's just the rawness of the musicians from Baltimore. We just kind of bring it. And that's not discouraging any other city, but,
Well, Baltimore reminds me of Philly in a lot of ways. And I wouldn't and even not only musicians, but just the audience. Yeah. Like I remember I used to play in Baltimore a lot in the early 90s, man. And it reminded me of like the bars, the Sportsman's Lounge, the Haven. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I used to, man, and I used to play with Dante Winslow. And they are just as much as a part of the music as the musician.
They are.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really love about playing for Baltimore audiences. You name those spots like the Sportsman's Lounge. My dad and his group, they used to play there a lot as a kid when I was a kid. Wow. But that place is no longer here. But I think the last place that we have that's kind of reminds me of that would be the Caton Castle. So when you go in there, it's kind of like at home. I mean, just literally at home. You go in there, you're going to smell chicken and you smell wings. But the audience, they really deliver, they make us feel at home. Yeah. And I like to tell a lot of audiences that too. It doesn't matter where we are. Before we play, a lot of people, they kind of look at us like, oh, wow, like a museum piece. And I tell people, I'm saying, loosen up. If you guys are really feeling the music, make some noise. Yeah. Not too much noise, but make some noise, clapping, because that gives us, more energy and lets us know that we're doing something good.
And not only are the musicians in Baltimore, the jazz cat, y'all got gospel cats. The whole spectrum, man.
That's a lot.
It's a wonderful city, man. And what part of Baltimore are you from?
I grew up on the west side of Baltimore. It's a neighborhood called Edmondson Village.
Okay.
It was pretty safe back in the day.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's still somewhat okay now, but there's definitely, it's been some turbulent times in the area. I lived in that neighborhood from pretty much right after birth up until the age of 11 years old. We had an unfortunate accident of a murder right across the street from our house.
Mm.
And I think from that, my dad was like, we out of here.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. But, that's another thing. Honestly, stuff like that, I mean, even if it's negative, stuff like that kind of gives you a rawness.
Yeah.
Being from Baltimore, you get
Yeah.
little street smarts and street sense. And
No doubt.
it kind of adds to your fuel in the music as well.
And you can go different parts of the world and carry that with you.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No doubt about it. Do you come from a musical family? I know you said your dad played.
Yeah. So I did. My grandfather, his name was James Wolf. I didn't really know him too well.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a pretty big family. So my grandfather had 6 boys and 5 girls, my dad included them.
Mhm.
He played piano. I do recall seeing a few times when my dad would take me over to their house. I would watch him play for a little bit, and I thought it was cool. I was like, "Wow, you sound really good." But
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what he was doing. I just knew that he moved fluently
Mhm.
on the piano. That's
Mhm.
all I knew. I didn't know anything about harmony or stuff like that. But he played piano in the Baltimore jazz clubs back in the day, in the 40s and 50s. And I think from what my dad said, he spent time in New York as well. I don't think he actually played with anybody like Miles Davis or anything
Yeah.
like that. I think he was, a part of that other crew. It's like,
Yeah.
like he's a good player, but I don't think, the guys were interested like that.
Yeah.
So being that again, 11 siblings right there, with my dad and them, my dad wanted to play as well. But, it was a different time of living back then. My grandfather was like, no, you're not going to play any of this music.
Wow.
So my father went to war. He was in the Vietnam War. I think he was there from 1969 through 1971.
Mhm.
By the time he got out of the war, like a lot of African Americans, they struggled finding work.
Mhm.
But eventually, he went to school and he got his history degree, and he started teaching world history and United States history in schools. Somewhere, I'm just getting my timeline right, around 78, 79,
Mhm.
I guess he wanted to teach himself how to play music. Just a quick note, I have 2 older sisters. They were
Okay.
born, my older sister was born when he was in war,
Wow.
and the other one, of course, when he was home. So while he has his degree in history, around 1979, which is the year I was born, he'd said, I'm going to teach myself how to play music.
Wow.
And everything that he's learned from playing music was self-taught. Again, different times back then, being that I'm the only boy
And the baby.
and the baby, I'm going to teach my son how to play.
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
know, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful, man. And as a kid, what type of music were you listening to?
Kid, let's see, this is the 80s, a little bit of everything.
Ready for the
So-
world?
Huh?
Ready for the world?
Yeah. So my parents, because they grew up in the whole, the soul era, Motown, and all that type of stuff, I definitely heard that around the house. 2 older sisters, I definitely heard a lot of 80s hip hop, Run DMC,
Mhm.
Beastie Boys. I remember as a kid, I used to watch Crush Groove a lot. But then when my dad was giving me early lessons, I didn't grow up in a jazz household necessarily. I would hear music like Grover Washington.
That's my man right there.
There you go. That's right. I would hear a lot of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Stanley Torrentine, Yellow Jackets, Anita Baker, Spiral Gyra. I would hear glimpses of that. And then every now and then my dad would play some Bobby Hutcherson or Milt Jackson. That was one thing I missed. I forget to say, is that around that year, I have no idea, but he decided to buy a vibraphone. Now, my dad passed away 2 years ago. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask him because I never knew why.
Okay.
Like, there's a trumpet, there's a saxophone.
Yeah.
Why this? If I really had to guess, though, I think he was a huge fan of Roy Ayers.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
100% sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So vibraphones was your first instrument?
No, it was a combination of everything. Again, my dad, once he started teaching, I guess he came up with some money. So he started buying, he bought instruments. He bought a vibraphone, a marimba, because these are the things that he liked to play. He had hand percussion, congas and bongos, a drum set. And did we have a piano? I recall we had an upright piano, a little small one. And he would just play all of the stuff around the house. He had friends, they would come over and they would rehearse all the time. Also on Sunday afternoons, him and his friends, they would go to Druid Hill Park and have a park vibe drum circle.
Is that where the name Drew Hill come from?
Drew Hill, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
that's the Baltimore accent.
Yeah.
Nobody actually says, "Oh, we're going to Druid Hill Park."
Yeah,
we're going to Drew Hill.
Yeah.
So that's where they got the group. That's
yeah.
why they got the name. But yeah, we go to Drew Hill, Druid Hill, and he would have his drum circle out there. Now, as a kid, when my dad and his friends would come over and practice, I think that was his release from teaching in school in Baltimore City Public Schools, was to have a band and go out and play sportsmen's and other places. I would just sit on the steps as a kid and just listen. And again, growing up in that rough neighborhood, like I said, I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends are no longer here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you came up, I think the crack era was deep in.
Yeah.
I seen kind of when it started, but it was like it was happening all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a rough time.
As you know, yeah. So yeah, a lot of my friends weren't here. So my dad was like, I'm going to give you something to do. He didn't say that, but I'm going to give you something to do. Most kids, when you're growing up in the hood like that, what do you see on TV? You see basketball. Well, the few channels we had back then, basketball, football, baseball, but none of us, baseball was as you know, that game involves a lot. First of all, not everybody in the house has a glove.
Yep.
It's gonna be like, oh, I got a glove. We got 2 gloves and 8 guys and a bat and ball. But the basketball is easy. Football is easy. So we all wanted to be sports stars naturally for the most part. My dad was like, yeah, you can go out there and play for a little bit, but I'm gonna give you something else to do, which was music.
Wow.
And I absolutely hated it.
You hated music?
I hated music, bro.
Wow.
I hated music with a passion.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. So was your dad teaching you, or were you self-taught? How'd you?
My dad was teaching me, and this is the reason why. I look at my young kids, or at least even when they were younger, at the age that I started, which is at 3, and I can't imagine having that attention span that I did, and that was probably because I was somewhat afraid of him because of that war.
Yeah.
That mentality.
Yeah.
You're going to do this like right now, and I was just like, okay. But I really didn't like it because of my practice schedule.
Gotcha. Oh, he gave you a practice schedule?
Yeah, daily.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't like
so. What was that? I mean, what was it like? What was your practice schedule like?
From the age of 3 until the time I left home to go to college. 30 minutes per day on every instrument.
So he had you on vibraphone
or marimba.
Marimba. Was you on drums as well?
Yeah. So here's the schedule. Again, safe neighborhood. My elementary school was 3 blocks away. I could walk. And I had a key to the house back then.
Gotcha.
Middle school, I'm gonna come back to elementary.
Okay.
But middle school, I had to take the bus.
Okay.
And then when I got off, I took the bus home. And then we came home together. Me, my mom, and my dad. Sisters were on their own. Same thing with high school. But going back to elementary, I would get out of school at 3:00. I come home. It took me all of 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. Open the door, and I go probably make myself a sandwich. And I watch cartoons. Call my mother, say hi to her, because she got off work at 4. I just know that I'll never forget this. She get off at 4. She said, hey, how was your day? Blah, blah, blah. We'll see you later. When 5:30, well, they got home at 5:00. I had 30 more minutes to watch TV.
Wow.
5:30 came. It's time to get that basement.
Wow.
Didn't matter the order. 30 minutes, I'm doing something on vibes or marimba. One of the two. 30 minutes on that keyboard. That's 6 o'clock. And then come 6:30, another 30 minutes on the drums or snare drum only. Now, we got 5 days of the week in no particular order. Monday could have been the jazz day.
Wow.
Tuesday could be classical day. Wednesday, you come around, you're going to be doing popular music.
Wow.
From Motown to the Beatles or whatever else. Thursday, come back to jazz. Friday, go back to classical. Saturday, I took lessons with a guy, means the world to me. He's now deceased. His name is Leo LePage. Leo was a member of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. I took lessons with him at Peabody Prep.
Wow.
From the age of 3 up until 12.
Wow.
Sunday, practice a little bit. More of a rest day. Go hang outside with your friends. That was during the school year.
Wow.
When summertime came around, we're going to double that.
Really?
1 o'clock to 2:30. Same thing. You go outside and play. Back then, just go. Your parent, it's crazy.
Are you like this with your kids?
No. No, my kids don't even want to play music.
Yeah.
But 1 o'clock to 2:30, practice. Go outside and play. Do whatever. Back in the house, 5:30 to 7. Every day.
Wow.
From the age of 3.
So I thought you was a natural. Now I know.
No, from 3 to 17, bro. I tell you, I hated this.
Wow. Well, your dad reminds me, and this could be something people can benefit from. When I think of your dad, just hearing about him, it reminds me of when I think of the Serena sisters, their father, Michael Jackson, Tiger Woods, the way they invested, in a particular area or discipline, man, and it pays off in the end.
Yeah, and we don't see that though. We don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's why we need more fathers to step up. Yeah, because the kids today are different.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah, but that's beautiful, man. Wow. So did music come easy for you? I guess after all that practice.
It actually did. Even the times when I was down there practicing with him, it was easy. Like I remember playing these violin concertos.
Reading was easy and the whole thing.
Reading for me, reading music is just like reading a book. And I say that really because, I come across a lot of people nowadays. They say, man, my reading isn't that good in music. And I say, well, listen, when you were a kid, when you first put DOG together, that was hard, right? They was like, yeah. I like, but what happened? You started putting these together and you start sounding it out and you see it every day and you start reading kid magazines, kids' books to next time you graduate, to dictionaries and everything else. Yeah. Why is that? And they were like, yeah, because you read it every day.
No doubt. Yeah.
I'm like, so that's the same thing. My dad, my teacher at Peabody, I was reading all the time. Now, because at the time they didn't make many pieces for marimba. See, classical music, we don't deal with vibes. We deal with the marimba. They didn't make many pieces for that. So instead, they gave me violin concertos. Wow. Or violin sonatas, or they would give me cello pieces because of the range of the cello kind of matches the lower end of the instruments. So I would do a lot of reading that way. Also, when I was in high school, but it was required as a musician that you join the choir.
Gotcha.
Didn't matter if you can sing or not.
So you sing too?
Not like that, but I can.
I got you.
So 9th grade year, I didn't quite hit puberty yet. My voice was a little bit higher, so I was singing tenor. Gotcha. But then my 10th grade year, I dropped down a little bit. My voice dropped.
Baritone.
I started singing baritone. What did that do? It helped with my bass clef singing or bass clef sight reading. Wow. So when I see bass clef, I'm just like, cool. It's no problem. But yeah, just going back then,
Plus, I know you had perfect pitch.
Yes.
Now, when did you discover that you had perfect pitch?
Oh, man. I didn't discover that until possibly maybe in middle school.
Really? Now, what is that, man? I mean, like, I think it gives you, to me, You think it give you an unfair advantage?
Yeah, it does. But it also helps at the same time.
Gotcha.
You know, when I was in middle school, this is actually when I started to like music.
Okay.
We had these assemblies, and I was in a middle school jazz band, but jazz band wasn't necessarily meaning playing jazz tunes, as you know.
Gotcha.
You know, we played stuff like Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, you had stage band.
Yeah, we had that, which was a lot of fun though. So we didn't have vibes or any type of mallet instruments in high school, and you know, I played a lot of drums then, but at the same time, my teacher knew that I played keyboard. So just going along with the perfect pitch, this is how I'm trying to figure out. So we were playing Louie Louie. You know, I forget, you know, who wrote the tune, Louie Louie. You know, we're playing that. Now check this out. This song is in B flat major. It was a keyboard solo on there, and you know, all the charts back then, mostly everything is always written out. Everything is written out. But it had a keyboard solo, but nothing was written there. They just said play. Now, I didn't understand harmony. I still didn't really know what was going on. But what I could do was play things off the radio. Yeah. So, you know, sometimes when we were be in class just goofing off, like band class, we would always just be like, you know, messing around with songs like, hey, check this out, check out, you know, everything was always beats. But I'd be like, yo, check out these chords. And I used to always ask myself, how do I know that? I've never practiced it. So we're playing Louie Louie. It says, go to your keyboard solo. I started playing this tune by this artist, Crystal Waters, Gypsy Woman. Gypsy Woman is in D minor. Now, I'm not getting into harmony stuff right now. I started playing that song during the keyboard solo. All of my classmates got up and were like, yeah. And, you know, that thing I said earlier, musical healer. I was like, wait, I'm making people feel good by playing this music. Yes. So I wondered what would happen if I started taking this seriously. So instead of now being sad and mad with my dad making me practice, I would already be down there. Wow. In the basement before 5:30.
Now this is in middle school.
Yeah. 7th grade.
7th grade.
7th grade to be exact.
Wow.
And I started figuring it out. Now, I'm still primarily a classical musician. You know, playing jazz and all the improv was down here. By the time I got to high school, which was the Baltimore School for the Arts, you know, it's like a race. Classical music is still good because I'm learning my instruments. But the improv is just really just starting to come up very quick. Wow. Because I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm just like, I don't really understand what these people are playing.
Now, do you think perfect pitch also comes with it a kind of photographic memory? Because I noticed that people with perfect pitch, they also have great memories. And when I see you play, everybody else can have stands and read music. And it's like you got the music down. So is that just
sometimes? It just depends on the level of difficulty.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it just depends.
Okay.
Again, like we were saying earlier, you know, it's not a lot of effort for me to do this. Yeah. If I listen to the song enough, and I believe that in anything, I'll internalize it here.
Wow. See, I need to know how are you able to do that?
That's what I'm saying.
You can actually like listen and hear the chords. Yeah. Without the aid of an instrument, and you can just listening, you can hear the progressions and how the things move.
Yeah, because in jazz, at least, the most common progression that we are used to hearing is what? The 2-5-1. So I'm listening to that. I mean, just to jump ahead, when I was in college, John Lampkin, the drummer, John Lampkin, brought me down to this club called Wally's. The first night, they let me play everything that I knew. And that was a lot of tunes that I learned in Baltimore, like Sugar, How High the Moon things. So we played all of that. And then the next night, they were like, all right, we're going to play some new stuff. And I vividly remember one of the tunes, I'm just speaking jazz at the moment, was You Stepped Out of a Dream. I didn't know that song at all. So I had a piece of paper. I was like, I'm going to write this out. But I was like, let me rely on my ears. Because I know over the years, my perfect pitch has helped me a lot. Now, at that time, I was only but I was only doing singular notes. Like if somebody played the G, I'd be like, all right, here, that's the G, that's the D, that's the B flat. But now I'm listening for chords.
Wow.
I was like, all right, let me listen to the movement of these chords. Let me hear where any 2-5-1s are. And I would try to nail all of these changes. And I would do it after a while, you know. But after a while, you just start figuring it out, you know.
Now, are you listening from the bass up or just from the chords?
It's a combination of everything. As long as the keyboard player or pianist or guitarist is very clear what they're doing, not trying to be cool for the sake of being cool. Like it's a major chord, but I'm gonna play sharp 5.
Yeah.
You know, at least give me a couple choruses where I can really hear it. I'm talking about back then. It's different now.
Gotcha.
But back then, as long as I can just really hear what they're playing, and if the bass player is really like zoned in on what they're playing to make sure the harmony is like really there, I'm gonna get it.
So could you walk in on, let's say somebody playing a tune like the Sorcerer. They got them weird, it's very kind of an abstract.
Yeah.
You can walk in and hear that?
As a first soloist?
Huh?
Me as the first soloist?
I mean,
or just
like, let's say you just heard, you listen, you can, hey, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I just got to listen a couple times. I'm telling you, perfect pitch, it really helps out, man.
See, you're the first guy that admits, most cats at perfect pitch say it don't really make you play better, but.
Well, I won't say make you play better. It just helps you use your ears more. Like, there are certain things that people do. It's just like, at least I'm talking about from the piano side or guitar player, in case somebody does do something different. You just want to zone in. You know, I stress this to my students a lot. Sometimes you have to know the difference. Like if you're playing, say for instance, just thinking off the top of my head, In Your Own Sweet Way. First chord is actually A minor 7 flat 5. But what if the keyboard player want to just play A minor 7? It's gonna sound weird with you just playing this E flat.
Wow.
Versus the keyboard player who has this really big chord, and really you should be playing E. I like to hear stuff like that. Yeah. My perfect pitch allows me to hear up to 6 notes at one time.
So let me ask you this. Because I know you're an educator. Are you educating them from your perfect pitch standpoint, knowing they may not have it?
No.
Okay.
No. Not at all.
Okay.
What I do, I try to take my students kind of through a like I'll have them sit in silence and I'll just play pulsing chords, but just one. Like say what I'm playing right now, actually in my hands is a D minor 7. Like I'm actually imagining I'm playing. I'll just play that chord over and over, slowly, and then I'll take one note. Say if I'm playing D minor 7, I'll take that C and raise it up by a half step to a C sharp. And I would say, let's hear the difference between this. And then I'll go back to that minor. I want them to hear the difference between D minor 7, D minor 7.
Gotcha. So color here.
Yeah.
The color.
I'll add extensions. Let's hear the difference now between this and that.
Wow.
You know, I try to go through all of them. Then I go to major and I go back and forth, you know, really slow. I believe what works with me when it comes to teaching, I'd like to do everything slow. Playing fast is one thing, but I'm talking about just actually learning and just make sure we hearing it.
Processing.
Yeah, let's do it slow, and you know, make sure those key notes are in there. That way, you can really hear what you're playing.
Wow. See, when I came up, man, you know, we were taught, man, okay, you see this chord change, you put this scale to it. You know, you might outline the chord, you may got a couple, and I think with me, I play more from my thinking, knowing what that is, as opposed to really hearing. Like, I mean, that's what I'm working on now, trying to be able to hear. I think if I just trusted my ears more, it would probably help my playing.
Well, I mean, that works too. What you're saying, like I vividly remember looking at those Abrasaw. What's the Abrasaw books? Like in the back, like under the tunes, they have the scales written out. That works too. But it's just how. The thing that I'll try to explain to my students, how are we getting from there to the next one? Okay. What are the key notes that connected to?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're working to, you know, figure that out.
Wow. So this next question, man, it's like a 4-part question. And I just want to see do you consider yourself a vibraphonist who plays drums and piano? Or are you a drummer who plays the vibraphone and piano? Or are you a pianist who plays the drums and vibraphones? Or are you just all three?
To be honest, I'm all three.
Okay.
The general public has made me a vibraphone.
Gotcha.
When I was in college, actually not even just college, when I was in middle school and high school, just them two, people knew that I played all. When it came to like orchestra and the wind ensemble, of course, they gave me all the mallet parts because nobody else could do that as well as me. We were all trained in that because coming in a performing arts high school, our teacher, who is currently still in the Baltimore Symphony, his name is John Locke. We are trained to do total percussion. Now, they all have knowledge of mallets, just like, but it's always somebody like, okay, I'm better at this part. It's like, for me, yes, I did the snare drum parts. Yes, I did the bass drum, but if it had a difficult mallet part, you best believe Warren Wolf is taking that. Or if it was a crazy timpani part, Warren Wolf is going to take that. When I got to college, I was very much a drummer.
Wow.
Very much a drummer. People knew that I played vibes, but that was more of a special thing. I didn't have a car back then, and cab drivers, they were responsible for their cars. So if I'm sitting on the corner with vibes with pipe, those resonators, I flag them down, then they pull up. Man, I can tell you so many times that the cab, they pull up and they see that and they just keep driving.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Because they, they're responsible for that. They own their cabs. They can't get them messed up.
Yeah.
So, I was co-leading the band at it was my gig at Wally's Jazz Club in
Boston.
Wally's Jazz Cafe in Boston, every Friday and Saturday night with trumpeter Jason Palmer. And I was the drummer for 2 years, 2 years straight. And
that's a famous club too.
It is.
Antonio Hart was telling me about that.
Yeah,
club. Yeah,
great club, man. So many people that came through that
Branford
club. Very Hardgrove, all those cats. But that was my gig for 2 years as a drummer. Thursdays, I had a piano gig. It was at a place called the Wonder Bar, again with Jason Palmer and Kendrick Scott on drums. So, and I never played vibes at any of these places. Never. I mean, I was just very much a drummer. Even when I moved back to town, I was probably still getting more drum gigs, if anything.
Wow.
But, and I get it. When people see, at least this is just my opinion. If you play an obscure instrument like the vibraphone and you're doing it well, I don't care what instrument. You can play the kazoo. If you can make some melody on that, people will find a way to include you in their program. Now, this is not putting my drum playing down at all or piano playing. I just did a piano gig last night.
Wow.
But when you play an instrument like this, like the vibes, and it's something that's not the regular, like saxophone or trumpet, people are like, man, I like that. I like that sound. I like the vibe. And I like the way you do it. I'm going to figure out a way to include you in the program. And then, of course, over the past 20 years, cameras are always rolling.
No doubt.
And people talk.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we know he plays vibes. We know he plays drums. He's killing on drums. We know he plays piano. But have you heard him on those vibes?
Wow.
And people talk. And, people, they get you all the time. So, I don't do as many drum gigs and piano gigs as I would like to. Sometimes I think about this. I think it would be kind of weird, like if somebody actually called me for a major drum gig, knowing my accomplishments that I've had in my life on vibes. They can be like, wait, why is he on drums? We want to see you on vibes.
Yeah.
The times when I really get to do it now, it's usually in my own settings because I like to entertain. We're even though we're jazz musicians, we're still entertainers. If it affords, if the space is big enough, I will have a separate drum set on stage. I'll have a keyboard next to me.
You have a separate drum set?
A separate drum set. The only reason why it's a separate is because I'm not naturally left-handed. I'm a left-handed drummer.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I think I've seen you in a band.
Yeah.
And I think everybody played different instruments. and then y'all switched.
It's fun to do that, man. People like seeing that type of stuff.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, to answer your question, yes, I mean, I look at myself first as a vibraphonist and drummer combined.
Okay, gotcha.
Piano is not something that I really like to do, but I can do it. I've never had a formal lesson on piano. Like if you ever see me play like certain things on piano, like especially when it comes to fast stuff, like I'll start doing this, like if I'm playing vibes, like with with multiple fingers.
Gotcha.
And then I'll come back to the chords.
Wow.
So like I said, I've never had a lesson on piano. My dad was basically just play it. So he taught me everything. Mm-hmm. I know all the scales, I know all the chords, I know how to get around, but when it comes to the actual like technique of it.
No. Do you enjoy playing one instrument versus the other? I mean, has one become your passion?
Yes and no. I really do enjoy playing vibes, and I really enjoy playing drums, but I also enjoy playing vibes more. Why? Because I don't have to play all the time.
Gotcha.
I play the melody and the solo, and I can
like the music, like the horn player.
Yeah. the drummer, you gonna back up that band for a long time. But I enjoy creating rhythms behind solos. Yeah.
So. Now, is it challenging playing the vibraphone? I mean, like on piano, you got the black and white keys, right? Like on vibraphone, you got to hit the right note.
Yeah.
Or have you ever hit the wrong note?
Of course. Of course, many times.
Yeah.
There's some times when I'm playing with Christian McBride, like he'll be messing with me. He's like, Wolf slipping. He's slipping because I may hit a wrong note. But it's really hard to really make sure you're accurate in hitting that one note, because especially also when it comes to reading, because you're reading a piece of music, but the instrument is here.
Yeah.
But
now I've seen people play the vibe with 4 mallets. 4
mallets, yeah.
You do that too?
I do, but it's not necessarily my thing to do. I will
great.
do it like far as padding, like if people want some color to the songs. But people such as like Joe Locke and Gary Burton, they're true like pros at that. Like they will actually hold 4 mallets and solo. Like I mean, not saying I can't do it. I don't. That's just not me.
Gotcha.
I don't even feel comfortable doing that. So.
Now, do playing all these different instruments help your overall playing?
Yes, they do. They just give me a clear understanding of what to do as a band leader in a band leader role.
Gotcha.
Even the bass to a certain degree.
You play bass too, don't you?
Yeah. I started playing bass in high school. I've always been in love with the sound of the bass. So when I was in high school, I asked my band director, I said, "Hey, can I take a bass home for the summer?" He said, "Sure." And I just self-taught on it. I said, "Okay, here's the E, A, D, and G. Let me just go up and down just by half steps and see what notes I can get on there." And I would start asking people for, just advice. One guy in particular who got me started is a Baltimore bassist by the name of Gary Richardson.
I know Gary.
You know Gary?
Yeah, it's my man.
Yeah, man. Gary hooked me up. He was like,
cool.
Man,
he got a nice sound on bass.
He do.
Yeah.
I mean, even before even playing it, he was just like, "You got to put the bass right here on your side, and you got to stand.
Yeah.
You got to look cool like me." And I was like, all right, cool. But from him and Mike Matthews, those are like two of the early bass players in Baltimore who gave me some, just little minor lessons.
Wow.
And then after that, I just start watching cats. I looked like McBride looks cool when he's playing. Rodney Whitaker looks cool, and I started looking at Ray Brown. I mean, I'm not playing like them at all, but these are just people that
you
I
still practice bass?
I don't have one. I did have a bass, but I do have access to a bass. Like whenever I'm at Peabody teaching, sometimes we might not have a bass player in class or something, so I pick up the bass and play.
Wow.
I actually love it. It's a lot of fun. You just got to get them calluses on your fingers. It's really cool.
Yeah, man. And I think I read one of your posts on Facebook talking about y'all bass players missing some notes. So you can hear with a bass player.
Yes.
Really?
It's that perfect pitch.
Wow.
Speaking of my Facebook post, I actually posted this one time about perfect pitch. It's a blessing, but it can also be, just not cool to have it.
Okay, explain that.
Because I hear everything.
Okay, you even hear the wrong.
I hear the wrong stuff, and my personality is to say something.
Gotcha.
And I'm not, a lot of people that especially today.
Yeah, they're very sensitive.
Yeah, they're very sensitive to that. You can't tell them anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to do any ill will. I'm not trying to talk down to you.
Yeah.
If I say it may come out as negative.
Yeah.
The way it's phrased, my wife tells me all the time. She was like, "You need to rephrase that." But in actuality, I'm saying it because I want to help. Mm-hmm. Here's a good example. Now, this has nothing necessarily to do with me, but me and Christian McBride talk about this. When we're walking a C minor blues, now as a bass player, since we're talking about bass, a lot of bass players when they're walking, and I talked to Chris Fun about this too. They will say like we're playing Solar. They will go like C, and then they go hit that low E, which is the very first open string. Mm-hmm. It sounds cool. Why? Because it's so low, and you get that rattling going on. But in actuality, that E has nothing to do with C minor.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's take that up. Suppose instead of going from C to a low E, let's go from C to the E right here. This gonna sound real weird because you're implying major.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of bass players don't think about that. They just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna just do it."
So why would they play E when it should be E flat anyway?
I have no idea. I can give you matter of fact, I'll give you a great example if you check this out. Shade of Jade, Rory Hargrove, Tenors of Our Time. Mm-hmm. As killing as that track is what Joe Henderson and Hargrove, Rodney Whitaker, Greg Hutchinson, and Cyrus Chestnut. Rodney Whitaker, when they get back around to that A section, he's really hitting that E a lot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's doing it on purpose.
Okay.
It's definitely on purpose. He's meaning to do this. Is it right? Yes and no.
Gotcha.
If harmonically right, if a jazz professor was really on it,
yeah,
he gonna say, "What is he doing?"
Wow. Yeah.
But as they say in
is
this
he
music,
is he used that as like a one of them half step below type of thing?
Going back to what Dennis Chambers said, I think he's just doing it because it's the vibe. That's just what it is.
Gotcha.
Because you know how they say in this music, you learn everything educational wise, and then after a while you just forget it, and you got to play from here. And at the end of the day, that's really what matters. Yeah. But I think at the same time, and this is just my opinion, if you know what's happening here, which you're supposed to do, is cool. But at the end of the day, we have to play from here because you can't fool your audience. You got to play from your heart and just play.
Now, here's a question I asked Christian McBride this, man. You guys, your sense of timing, like I don't even see you tap. It could be a fast, and you're not thrown off. How do you develop that internal time?
I think it's a combination, a group combination. Somebody like Christian has a great beat, and then you put him with another drummer, because drums and bass go together like that. If you can feel that, the piano is just the extra. That's like the ketchup on a burger. Gotcha. But if you can make sure you hear that bass and the drum time, that beat right there, and not just jazz, anything.
Gotcha.
As long as that pocket is locked in, you should be able to do that.
So in an up-tempo tune, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, or you count them 1?
As a drummer or as a vibraphonist?
Either.
As a drummer, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Really? You thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2?
Yep.
And so, but as a vibraphone, if you're improvising, you're thinking of what?
I'm not thinking anything. I'm just going off of what I'm hearing.
Wow.
I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to play 16th.
So you're not counting tap, like trying to?
Nah. I'm not playing 16th notes the entire time. I'm just trying to make rhythm of what's going on behind me. This whole conversation.
Gotcha. Man. Woo. Is there a particular teacher besides your dad that has had a big influence on you as a musician?
Yes. Dave Samuels.
Dave
Samuels.
Okay.
Yeah. He passed away about 4 years ago. Okay. He was one of the sole reasons why I decided to go to Berklee College of Music. Dave Samuels was a member of Spiral Gyra in the 80s. And eventually, once he left that group, he started the Caribbean Jazz Project, which won, I think they won 2 or 3 Grammys. And he also had a duo group with another vibraphonist by the name of David Friedman, who lives in Germany. But But Dave Samuels, that was the guy, man. I mean, he wasn't necessarily known for his straight ahead playing. Could he do it? Yes. But like I said, he came from the spiral gyro fame, and I was a huge fan of his. Now, his teaching method with me, it wasn't necessarily like lessons like that. Why? Because I could already play when I got to college. I'm not saying I was killing, but I could already play. I knew what to do. He challenged me in other ways, like, okay, yeah, obviously you can play Charlie Parker, bebop, stuff like that. I'm gonna challenge you in some other ways now. Like, can you play modern harmony? You know, tunes that doesn't necessarily follow the whole 2-5-1 formula.
Gotcha.
He challenged me in those ways, and it wasn't necessarily play this line back for me and stuff like that. We would sit down and talk about how the harmony moved from here to this and this. What are the key notes that connect from here to here?
Gotcha.
And sometimes, you know, instead of just talking about it, we would just play. And if I felt I was rusty on one part, I would just listen to him, and that perfect pitch kicks in. I was like, oh, okay, I hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let me steal this. That's another thing I failed to mention. I mean, maybe that's the wrong word, stealing or borrowing. Yeah. I've always believed that, even from the worst musician. Because I've always graduated personally toward horn players.
Gotcha.
Horners and saxophone. I've never really been the type of guy who'd listen to Milt Jackson and like, I mean, of course I did.
Yeah.
But I don't have a big vibraphone collection. Like, okay, I got all these vibe players and I'm stealing their lines. I was like, nah, I'm gonna steal this Charlie Parker and Coltrane and Cannonball. And I try to take, again, that perfect pitch stuff. I try to take ideas of each one of those guys, even horn players. Like, if I had to pick a couple just to name them, again, Charlie, Cannonball, Coltrane, Chick Corea, Herbie, and even certain drummers, Tony Williams, Art Blakey. I try to take rhythm-wise and note-wise of some of these guys. And I ain't even talking about the R&B stuff yet. That's a whole other thing. I'm speaking straight jazz, but because jazz is the language that I've learned to imply in all these other styles. But once I take all of the information from some of these artists and others, like other people who shall not be named, of musicians that I don't like, but it's something about them that I do hear. Let me take that. And I put it all together. Yeah. And out will come the sound that I want. Because I've always wanted my own sound. I've never wanted to be known as somebody who sounds like Milt or somebody who sounds like Bobby. You know, because I ran into that issue with Dave Samuels. Again, he's the reason why I went to Berklee. Why? Because I heard him playing on record and he did some ideas. I was like, oh man, that's dope. So I would take that and I would use it in all of my solos. So when I got to my proficiency at Berklee, you know, I did well. But the teacher said to me, yeah, man, we could tell you've been checking out Dave because you playing all his stuff. And I said, when I left that room, nobody will ever say that to me again.
Wow.
Ever.
Gotcha. So, were there particular great musicians that had a profound influence you as a musician? Like, my man was Bird and Grover as a kid.
Yeah.
So who was it for you?
Definitely Bird. Freddie Hubbard, Chick Corea, Eddie Jefferson.
No doubt.
Trying to think there's a couple more favorites. Eric Harlan, Tony Williams.
Now, who initially like
Charlie Parker.
Okay, so we come from the same.
Charlie Parker, all the way.
So did you hear Bird? Did you hear Bird when you first heard him? Could you hear Bird when you first heard him?
Could I truly hear him? What do you mean?
I mean, yeah, because I heard him. I was like 12, and I mean, the impact of his music really like resonated with me. Like, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely just he's overall number one.
Yeah.
For me.
That's cool. Yeah.
Throw after that, believe it or not, somebody who I really looked up to. I would be really ashamed if I didn't mention his name while we're talking. Antonio Hart.
Wow. Yeah.
Antonio grew up around the corner from me.
Really?
He was in my dad's first band.
Wow. A great musician, man.
When I remember vividly when I was practicing in the basement. It's something about me, even till this day. When somebody hands out music and I see a bunch of 16th notes, I freak out a little bit. I'm like, oh, man, here we go. So I remember during that time, we were working on Joy Spring, me and my dad. And I had a tough time reading, you know, those, all of those. I was like, what? And I couldn't get it. So I remember my dad, he was like after Antonio finished the rehearsing, he was packing up his horn to go home. And my dad says, hey man, can you pull out your horn, just play this for him? And he was in high school, same high school, Baltimore School for the Arts.
Wow.
He pulls out this horn, and this was something that always stuck with me too. It made me want to read better. I don't know if Antonio played this tune, Joy Spring, or not, but he poured out his horn and just read that thing down.
Wow.
With all the I was like, wow. You know, that was another reason why I wanted to take music. I was like, how did he do that? How did he just read that thing down like that?
Wow. Yeah.
Big influence on me right there.
Speaking of Baltimore School of the Arts, who's some of the cats that were there when you were there? And in fact, who were some of the cats coming up in Baltimore around your age?
Yep.
That we know.
Well, it's not many people, at least from my year, who, because at that school they really pound you with the work, academically and music. Okay. So honestly, in my class, I think I'm one of like 2 people who are still doing it. Okay. I mean, another one was a friend of mine, and she plays violin up in New York. But some of the people who went to that school, at least when I was there, who are like doing great things today, is Tim Green. Yes. When I was a senior, Tim was a freshman, and Lee Pearson. Lee Pearson's out with Chris Bodie. A few others. Joel Holmes. Pianist. He's living in Germany. Yep. And Thaljan Allen. Yeah, trumpeter. Yeah, bad cat. They, off the top of my head, those were the guys who were there. Yeah. Did you know this is alto player, big kind of cat. What's his name? I know you're talking about Issa. Yeah. You know, what is he doing, man? Building homes. Really? He not playing no more? If he asked him to come out. Yeah, but he told me. He got perfect pitch too. I know. He was a genius. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I should call him a genius. That's a big word. But he was a really good, gifted musician. Yeah. But, you know, this life is not meant for everybody, no matter how talented you are. And he actually said that to me. He was like, you know, I enjoy playing music. I really enjoy, but he was like, it's not something that I actually wanted to do. I never wanted to make it a career. Wow. I'm good at it, but no, this life was not for him. But he's around. Okay. I haven't seen him in years, man. Yeah, he's cool. Tell him I said what's up. I definitely will. And now, do you remember your first gig? Ever? Yeah. Because I look at my careers in 2 different halves. How so? There's high school and before? Yeah. Or actually high school and then college. So let's go back. Were you playing around Baltimore coming up in high school? Yes. So my first ever gig, to answer that first question, I remember I was in, I think the kindergarten. Kindergarten? Yeah. Wow. I played at an old folks home. Gotcha. Okay. Wow. In Baltimore, still there. It's called the Waxter Center. I don't know if I got paid for it. If I did, my parents kept the money and probably put it away. But I did go and tour with the Baltimore Symphony at a very young age. Really? Yeah. We were performing this piece called the Pied Piper Fantasy. Wow. You know, people, y'all can listen to the story of that. You know, basically, long story short, the town was full of rats, and the piper came in, played the tune, got rid of the rats. Come time to pay the piper, they didn't pay him, so he played another tune and took the kids away. I was one of the kids who came up on stage and played the drums, and then he played his tune, and we marched off the stage. That was the Pied Piper Fantasy. We went on tour with the Baltimore Symphony for about 2 weeks. Wow. How old were you? About 6 or 7. Wow. Yeah. At 6 or 7 years old, I had already played Carnegie Hall, Boston Symphony Hall, a couple of halls in there. Prodigy. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, yeah, you went up kind of. So from there, I started doing solo shows with the Baltimore Symphony, playing marimba. When I got to high school, a lot of that stopped because I was just concentrating. I had a tough time getting through high school. Okay. Like more on the academic side, you know. Gotcha. I just got lost concentration. Yeah. For other reasons. Now, I asked Christian McBride this question. Did you like jazz when you first heard it? I would say yes. Because I didn't, the type of jazz I was listening to was more just bluesy stuff. Gotcha. Again, Stanley Torrentine and Milt Jackson. You know, they're known for just playing like heavy blues.
Gotcha.
So I was listening to that. Anything else that I've heard, like Miles Davis, probably kind of blue. I wasn't used to hearing anything else.
Yeah.
You know, but it took me a while to really dive in that. I mean, how I got into really like listen to other stuff was again through Antonio Hart.
Okay.
His first record was titled "For the First Time." You know
that
record?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So, who's on that? Our boy Tommy Williams.
Yep.
He's on the majority of it. Hargrove played track 2. Christian McBride, Billy Pierce, Margaret Miller, Lewis Nash. I used to play that record out so much. So we went to a bookstore. Me and my mom one day, she had to go pick up something. And I remember I was at the bookstore. This is when we were all buying CDs and tapes. And I went to the jazz section. And that's when I first saw Christian McBride's first record, Getting to It.
Yep.
But I didn't know who he was. I was like, my first thought when I saw that record was, why does this dude have his bass in a junkyard? I was like, man, he don't care about this. But I'm going to buy it anyway. So it starts evolving from there. So, you know, again, I really miss those times when we could actually look at the record and see everything.
Yep.
You know, I used to love reading that. I was recording
Tile
here on this
Tile Records,
Yeah.
and you go in there. We would just go in there. Even if you didn't buy a record, you would just read.
Yeah, just looking.
Yeah.
So it expanded. Like when I saw that record, you know who's on that one? I saw Hargrove. So I was like, oh, wait, that's the cat that was on
Josh
Antonio's
on that
record.
too.
Josh?
Redmond? Yeah.
I was like, oh, Josh Redmond. Hargrove. I was like, oh, he's on Antonio's record. Let me check that out. Same drummer. Cyrus. I got a quick story to tell you about him. I'm going to come back to this one. Cyrus was on there and McBride. And then Steve Teray. And then it got to these bass, I think the bass trio track. It was Milt Hinton and Ray Brown. And I remember at that time I was watching the Carnegie Hall Salutes the Jazz Masters, that videotape. And I was like, wow, that's Ray Brown. Who is Ray Brown? Let me go back and listen to him. So it just kept expanding and expanding. What I was going to say about Cyrus quickly. There was a studio down in Chevy Chase, Maryland. I was 7 years old. And I actually forgot about this recording. And I swear I had no idea. Maybe I was a little older. I was like, give me 10. I really still didn't understand about harmony. I just kind of relied on ear, and I still don't know how I did that. I made a recording with a local Baltimore drummer named William Goffigan, featuring Cyrus and Tom Harrell.
Wow.
10 years old.
Wow.
It wasn't my record, but it was, you know. But the drummer sent that to me. I was like, wow, I forgot about this. I don't want to hear it. I mean, actually, I do want to hear it. But, you know, yeah.
Oh, he sent it to you?
He sent me the cover.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to ask him, like, dude, give me the CD. I want to see what I was sounding like back then. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's wild, man. Well, you know, you came up, because you're like 10 years. You came up when the Young Lions thing, I call the Young Lions thing is after went with Roy and Chris and Joshua, because I came up through that and I was in that. So it was a resurgence, seeing young people. Yeah. And it looked cool playing jazz. You know, like with Roy. I mean, I remember I was in high school, man, that Diamond in the Rough. Yeah. Man. Yeah. But I knew Roy from high school because we did the downbeat competitions. Okay. And so, but Winton got on this. I remember Winton, the young Winton, and he came to our school. He came to Philly, our school, and man, so it was just a new kind of thing, man, with that energy. And then Roy started leading his own band, and they used to come to Blues Alley, man. So that was a great period. Then Spike Lee had Mo Better Blues. So it was cool when it was hip. So you came up getting some of that.
A little bit, yeah. Like I vividly remember, again, I kind of just mentioned it. It was the Carnegie Hall Salutes to Jazz Master. It was a videotape. Mo Better Blues. When that movie came out, I was like, wow. You know, this is what the jazz life is going to be. You know, I mean, honestly, them guys look cool. Denzel look cool. Wesley Snipes. And I used to think, I was like, man, this drummer is really faking it really well. I had no idea who he was. And also the GRP All-Star Big Band. That was something else that really got me to the music. Really? Yeah. seeing who was it? Dave Grusin, Kenny Kirkland, Patitucci, Weckl, Gary Burton, Arturo Sandoval, all of those guys. I mean, Arturo, I actually want to go to Miami for college because I thought Arturo was the greatest thing ever. And the last video, or two more, was the Eddie Jefferson live at the Jazz Showcase, which was shot 2 days before he was murdered.
Yep.
And Dizzy Gillespie at the Royal Albert Hall in London with the United Nations Orchestra. A combination of all of those, plus a few more. Man, I'm telling you. Because I didn't always have, we all know the best way to learn this music is to go out and perform. But I couldn't go out all the time because I'm still in school. My parents got to work, stuff like that. So the other thing was to listen. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things that we could do with this music is just listen. Yeah. And, a lot of kids nowadays, they think, oh, we played it one time, we got it down. Yeah. I was like, man, I listened to these tapes for years. Yeah. And just kept soaking it in. Yeah.
No doubt about it. Now, were you aware of Dante Winslow?
Yeah.
Because me and Dante used to play in Baltimore a lot in the early 90s. And I used to get on the Amtrak, go down to Baltimore, and we used to play, man. And he's really another cat from Baltimore that just, and I knew he was I used to that's my little brother. Yeah. And I used to, and he was, he was living a tough reality at the time, man. Yeah. But the music kind of got him straight, man. And next thing you know, man, I see him.
He's doing his thing. He's out here with Justin Timberlake currently right
doing
now.
his thing, man.
He's doing a lot of wonderful things. Yeah, representing the city really good. I actually went to high school with his wife too, Mashika. She was 1 year older than me. I think 1 grade level ahead. Gotcha. But yeah, I definitely did a fair share of playing with Dante coming up. Not a lot. Because like you just said, Dante lived a rough life. Yeah. So very proud of that brother.
Turned it around.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got to talk about Berklee. Now, what made you choose Berklee? I think you mentioned that.
Dave Samuels.
Okay. Now, what were you going to prior to Berklee? Were you still in high school?
I was still in high school at the Baltimore School for
Did you go to Peabody Preparatory something?
Yeah, but that was only on Saturdays.
Okay. Now, what was that? Was that was you taking music?
Yeah, I was taking music lessons. Okay. My senior year of high school, again, mainly all classical. The conservatory actually called me in to start taking a few classes with. I remember I was in a percussion ensemble with 4 trombones. Man, that was hard. That was really hard.
Really?
Yeah, because I've never seen music like this. I mean, it was just, you know how some conductors, they just conduct weird.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, but really they're in time. But I was like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we were doing this, and but I think at that time I had already made up my mind that I was done playing classical music.
Gotcha.
I think playing in that ensemble made it worse. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So again, my idea, I wanted to go to Miami because seeing Arturo Sandoval.
Yeah.
But my teacher at the time, I don't know if he knew this guy. His name was Dave Stambler.
I don't know.
So Dave started getting me gigs in high school. He had a group around Baltimore called the New Legacy Jazz Ensemble. They played a lot of places. I remember we did a few gigs where people would be doing like swing dancing.
Gotcha.
Where they flipping through the air. So they would hire a band to come in and play there. So I would do a lot of keyboard gigs, and I actually learned a fair amount of tunes. From there, because when they called me, I didn't know. They would call it Honeysuckle Rose. I was like, "What's that?" They were like, "Oh, just use your ear." Wow. But they didn't have charts, and I was like, "All right, but they were so clear. At least Dave was. He sounded like Cannonball. Right now he teaches at Penn State.
Okay,
killing dude, man. But he was so clear in the ideas that he played. I could tell if he was playing major or minor or dominant.
Wow,
because we only played that style. Gotcha. We didn't go all out and play impressions and stuff like that. It was like classic American songbook stuff. So when I told him that I wanted to go to Miami, he was like, "Why?" I was like, "Because Arturo was down there, man." I was like, that guy plays high on the trumpet. I need to get down there. He was like, you don't want to go there. Go somewhere else because Arturo will never be there. He was like, Arturo was coming off of this Dizzy Gillespie thing, and he's super popular now. This dude is touring a lot.
Yeah.
So he said, why don't you go to Boston? I was like, oh, it's cold up there. I don't feel like going. And actually, I was just probably one of the best decisions.
Yeah.
And I've, so many of today's musicians I've met, not just in jazz, but just all over.
Yeah.
You know, I met them because of my relationship going to Berklee.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother cast to come out of Berklee. Size Chestnut.
Yeah. Mark Gross.
Yeah.
That's
Vince Evans.
You went to Berklee?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Dave Dyson. You know Dave Dyson?
I know Dave.
Dave went to Berklee. Yeah.
Yep. All these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Branford, Antonio.
Yeah.
Rory Hargrove. And then the people in my class.
Like Jalil. Now,
Jalil.
you said you came in with Jalil? Was
1 year later.
Okay.
He started in 96. I came 97. When I got to Berklee, man, I was on a mission.
Okay.
I was like, I want to find the people to play with because 4 years prior to that, all I had was high school.
Now you thinking as a drummer at this point?
Either or.
Okay.
But I just wanted to meet who the best players were.
Yeah.
That was my goal. It wasn't necessarily just like what instrument. I just wanted to see who were the cats.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately. So I'm walking around. You know what we would do up there because the school was so big for a music school. I would walk around to all the different rooms. You can clearly hear what's going on. And it's not just jazz. You walk around, you hear a country band, whatever. But at that time, because a lot of people were still trying to swing, you know, I would just be looking in the room like, all right, let me see who's playing. So I'm walking past this one room one day, and I hear something going on. I was like, man, this sounds like fire. You know, because at that time, again, I made up my mind. I'm trying to swing. No more classical.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in playing R&B. I was like, I'm trying to learn this jazz right now.
Yeah.
So I knock on the door, and because I see these three guys. One of them, I don't remember the drummer and the pianist. The bass player, he was a tall Swedish guy, Swedish musician. His name was Massimo Biagatti. He's the guy who started the I Real book.
Wow.
He went to Berklee, but he was in the room. I could see him in my vision right there. He wasn't even thinking about that. Nobody was thinking about that. But he was the bass player. I knock on the door, and this large guy comes to the door, and he opens up the door. That guy's Rashawn Ross, trumpet player with Dave Matthews.
Wow. I
knock on the door. I say, man, you guys sound good. I'm 17 years old. You guys sound good. Can I come in? He was like, yeah, come on. I open the door. I see Jalil in the other corner.
Wow.
And Jalil says, you know how he is. What's up, man? What's going on?
My Philly homeboy.
He's like, what do you play? I was like, I play vibes and drums. Well, he was like, well, there's a vibraphone right there. You want to get it? And I was like, all right. We went in there, and the tune we played was Softly. And, you know, I played, and how I was saying earlier, you know, people start talking.
Yeah.
People talk, you know, especially older classmen. You know, we finished that session. Everybody's like, "Yo, what's up? Where do you live at? And what's your phone number?" We ain't had no cell phones. I was like, "Here's my dorm number." And people start talking, and then when words travels in the music school, you start getting calls. And we're like, "Hey, man, you want to do this session? You want to come play in this?" Recording?
As they say, the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. I mean, you still got a lot of building, but at least around the school, people, your rep goes. So,
did you create close bonds with anyone
at Berklee?
Yeah, like
Jalil. Yeah,
y'all became real close.
I mean, we're still cool even to this day. I mean, I'm cool with everybody. One thing about me personally is I try to stay in touch with people.
Yeah,
you know, I've never been that person to just like we graduated from school or even around here. Yeah. I just like. Even if it's once a month, I just like to call and just say, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you never know. Yeah, because when, you know, things happen, but that's a whole nother subject. But Jalil is like one of the few guys who I talk to on a daily basis.
And y'all used to play together a lot?
Not as much because he has his own thing, you know, plus he's tied up with teaching, you know, at Manhattan. But we're hitting the road next month with Jonathan Blake. We're going over to Europe for about 4 dates.
Wow.
Sometimes if Steve Wilson cannot make the gig in Inside Street with Christian, Jalil is the first sub for that. So I do play with him a lot there.
Yeah. Did Marcus Strickland go to Berklee?
No.
He didn't? Okay.
He went to, him and his brother went to New School, I think.
Okay, they went to this. Okay, gotcha. So, what was your major?
I was a performance major at Berklee.
Okay.
I started in business.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to do the business side, but I was like, yeah, I left that alone after a while. Just concentrate on playing.
Cool. What made you move back to Baltimore?
Life happens. I got married and I had 2 kids.
Gotcha.
I was teaching at Berklee at the time.
Okay.
When I graduated in 2001, I hung around for a year because I really enjoyed playing with certain musicians such as Kendrick Scott, Walter Smith, and a select few others. After that one gap year after I graduated, I was asked to be on faculty at Berklee. I was one of the youngest faculty members ever in the school.
Wow.
After 2 years of doing that, I kind of got sick of being in Boston. I was up there for 7 years, and it was great. You know, I was making money because before that, I was just trying to figure it out. You know, with a family. Yeah. And I got the job, but I was like, man, something's missing. You know, and it's nothing against the school, but I was like, I don't want to do this right now. So I made a very hard decision to quit the job.
Wow.
And I left to come back. Now, the reason I didn't move to New York, honestly, is because I had the kids. Yeah. And I just knew I didn't have anything set up because, you know, the one thing about a lot of schools, at least music schools, they don't give you any formula. About what to do when you graduate. They're just like, here's your paper. You know, I was like, wait, how do I get the gig? How do I get any gig? I didn't know it was this whole thing. You got to, you know, play the game and go up the ladder. So that's why I didn't move to New York. So I came back to Baltimore.
Gotcha.
And I just slowly just started trying to figure it out. You know, I started playing a lot of drum gigs at the Haven with Craig Alston and this tenor player. I forget his name. He's an older guy in Baltimore. Harold Adams. Okay. Plays tenor. They started hiring me on piano at the Caton Castle. And one of the first
playing
gigs,
in DC?
I was playing in DC a lot. You know, I can remember playing at Twins a lot. I can't remember if Bohemian was happening for me at that time, but I was definitely just everywhere.
Did you ever spend any time in New York?
At that time, just a little bit. I was playing a little bit with Jeremy Pelt. I can remember what was the place called, the Cava House. Cave House, I think that's how you said it. Sometimes I'll go up to Cleopatra's. That was hard though to do because the amount of space. That stage is only meant for a trio. But you know, somehow we made it work. And that, you know, just moving vibes around like that, you know, it was hard. But I was determined to do it. You know, I was like, you know, if this is gonna be my instrument of choice that I'm playing, and I still did drum gigs, but I was like, I need to make something happen. I can't let any excuses.
Do you add that into the fee?
To bring a vibes?
Yeah.
I don't bring anything. that's just in my contract. It's in the rider now.
Really? Wow. That's when you know you have arrived.
I mean, every now and then, you know, like I'm playing at the Caton Castle next month.
Gotcha.
Or in a couple of weeks. I'll bring it for that.
Gotcha.
But
the
days are done.
do you or have you ever? Do you get nervous before performances?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Man, see, that's what I like about you. I love your confidence. I love it, man. You don't get nervous?
Never. They're just people.
People. Man. Wow.
Yeah.
Is music still fun?
Yes.
You still have fun? Wow.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, granted, there's a lot more things that you have to do now as we, you know, like the business side, you know, emails and promoting and now, and especially with the day and age of social media. But no, music is definitely fun. There's nothing better than being on that stage and playing music.
Even when you play with all these great, because you play with like a lot of great musicians. Do you carry the same confidence? Yeah.
My confidence is when I get on the stage, watch out. To be honest, but in a nice way.
No, I love it, man. You know, Warren Shad is the same way, man. It's the same. That's what I admire it. You know, I get nervous.
No, I don't. No, I've never had that feeling. I just
now, you know, I got to talk about my homeboy Christian McBride. Now, how'd you get the gig with Christian?
I first met him in Aspen.
Okay,
he has that summer camp out there. This was year 2000. My daughter was just born. She was born in 2000. I went out there and did a summer camp, He was just starting to write for big band,
Gotcha.
and he was playing an arrangement of "Shade of the Cedar Tree." I played on it. The rest is history.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it took a while because that was 2000. I mean, at this point, I think by the time I got out of that camp, I was kind of let down by jazz.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't know what to do.
Gotcha.
There was no game plan. I had nobody to guide me on like what to do.
Okay.
And I mean, things slowly. I mean, I don't realize it at that time. I was telling somebody just the other day. Things were moving. When I look back, things were moving up the hill.
Yeah.
It's a slow incline.
Yeah.
Very slow incline.
Yeah.
It's not many people who just come right out and it's like, all right, I've arrived. I'm gigging everywhere.
Roy Hargrove.
Him and
Christian.
Maybe Joshua Redman and Christian. Wynton Marsalis. But that's a select few.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not like that for everybody. And I had to figure that out. But, you know, his people called me in 2007. And at the time, he had the other band with Jeff Keys and Ron Blake and Terry Young Gully.
Yeah.
And he wanted to play the Village Vanguard. Lorraine said, cool, but you're not bringing that band in here because they were all electric.
Gotcha,
you know, Vanguard is pretty much straight ahead.
Yeah.
So he put together this band because he had this lady call me. It wasn't him. She says, Christian McBride would like for you to join him at the Vanguard. I thought this was a joke. I was like, who's playing?
Wow.
And she said, no, we're for real. And so the band was actually me, Christian, Carl Allen, Steve Wilson, and Eric Reed on piano.
Wow.
We did it 6 nights. And I thought that was it. I was like, all right, cool. Got paid, had a great run. I'm going home, still trying to figure it out. But people loved that band.
Wow.
And I still wasn't sure how this whole thing was supposed to work. So I remember we, long story short, we did 2 gigs, and one in South America. And then the next one after that, we went to Monterey for the Monterey Jazz Festival.
Wow.
Now, I didn't know how big that festival was. I was like, cool. It's just, because my history in jazz is really not that great, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we did that one, and then we stayed in California, and we recorded his first record for Mac Avenue called Kind of Brown. That was 2009. We spent a whole week in the studio doing that. And I know I started with Christian when I was 27, 28. And I just got off the road with him last week.
Really?
And we're still going.
Wow. Inside Straight?
Yep.
Yeah. Because he has a number of different...
He got a number of bands, man. He got Inside Straight, he got the trio, big band, a whole bunch of stuff. But no, he says it all the time. This is the longest band that he's ever kept together.
Wow.
You know, and we're still out
doing
here.
it.
Yeah, we still got lots of dates coming up.
Great chemistry.
Yeah,
great chemistry, man. So let me ask you this. From your experiences playing all over the world and around the United States, do you sense that there's a growing jazz audience, or is it dwindling?
I don't think it's dwindling. I think people really like jazz. It just has to be presented differently. What's my girl? Allison Crockett? She was just talking about this on her social media post like last week. You know, because she went to go see, I mean, not trying to judge anybody here, but she went to go see Jacob Collier. And she was saying that, you know, because a lot of his stuff is rooted harmonically in jazz. It's not swing or nothing. But
he's amazing.
He's amazing when it comes to that stuff. And she said she realized that a lot of people actually like this music. It's just maybe just the feeling of it has to be different. The look of it has to be different. You know, this is stuff that I tell my students a lot, you know, like what can we do to modernize the music? You know, I still preach learning older material because they give you a foundation of the music. But I don't think the audience is dwindling. I think it's cool. I think people really like it. It's just, you just got to do it right. And I don't know what that means. I don't even know what that, I mean, I know what works for me. But everything is not supposed to work, you know, how I did it for the next person. So,
and you have your own band, the Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
Who are the core constituents?
Alex Brown. I'm gonna start with him. He's my number one.
Okay.
Everything I do pretty much goes around him. The thing that I look for in my band members is that everybody has to be able to do everything.
Okay.
Comfortably.
Got you.
Because you never know.
Meaning
style-wise, stylistically.
Okay, I got you.
Like Alex, I mean, I ain't saying you have to be absolute killing, but you have to have some knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So Alex Brown, CV Dashiell on drums. Bass can vary. That varies a lot, but lately I've been using Blake Meister.
Great bassist.
Yeah.
Chris Fun, I know Chris
Fun is another one, but he's just, he's busy.
Yeah.
He's busy a lot with between Joey Alexander and Christian Scott. Atunde.
Yeah.
The chief. But I've been using Blake a lot, and if it allows, I'll use Tim Green on alto. That's just depending on financial.
Man, y'all sound great. Man, I would listen to y'all. Man, I could listen to your music all day, man. Because it covers so much ground.
Yeah.
And it just feel good.
Yeah, thank you, man. It just all depends. I mean, last week, matter of fact, or 2 weeks ago, we played in Philly. I played at South.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I used a completely different band. I used Brent Burkhead. And Romare and a couple of the guys. And why did I use them? Because it just depended on the crowd.
Gotcha.
You know that crowd. They just I mean, that's kind of a great example. They like jazz there.
Yeah.
Dude, is it necessarily like swing ching?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But I make sure, because I don't want to necessarily get locked down into just playing grooves. I
remember you posted something on Facebook about that. Like cats are not. It's not. Most of the songs are now groove. Groove
like
songs.
vamps. Yeah. And I still want to make some music of it. Like I have an arrangement of Take 5, and the guys really seem to like it. It's still harmonically moving, harmonically challenging, but it's just a groove that makes people just yeah. Again, that whole thing about making people want to feel good. Yeah, a lot of that came from Christian McBride. How I grew up with my sisters and my parents, just feel good music, because I didn't grow up in that jazz household. I grew up listening to hip hop, at least 90s. I'm a 90s baby. Yeah. I grew up listening to R&B and hip hop from that stuff. And so I like melodies. I like rhythm.
Do you do mostly original music in your band, or do you play the standards? Or the combination?
All standards. I'm sorry, all originals.
All originals.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I can't get away from playing standards all day. No, all originals. Every now and then I'll throw like a popular song in there, some type of pop song, just to always make sure that people can vibe off of something. But even when I do that cover song, I'll put a little spin on it. Yeah.
And what's your relationship with my man Tim Green?
Tim was my dude, man. So I've known him since he was in elementary school. Yeah. We went to the same middle school, same high school. I've watched him grow. Over the years. I mean, he's just tremendous. I love the way his vibe, like from straight ahead to playing to gospel music. Yeah. He's a phenomenal cat. He's a he has 2 kids of his own. He's married. He's a colleague of mine at Peabody. Okay. He was also working at Temple University. I was working there too. I don't know if you know that.
With Jarrell Stafford?
Yeah, I was there for 2 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked there for 2 years. Tim was there
Tim
for a couple
Tim
years.
Warfield?
Yeah. Tim Warfield, Dick
I
Oates,
remember hearing an album with Tim on one of your records, man. It was killing.
Yeah, man. We did a record with Adonis Rose. Oh, yeah, so basically, it was Nicholas Payton's band. Yeah. And I was teaching at Berklee. This was funny, because I got the call. Donna said, "Hey man, can you do this record?" Now it was right around finals time when I was teaching at Berklee, and I was like, "I don't know what to do, man." I was telling my boys, I was like, "I got finals," and everybody was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "What?" They were like, "Man, you better go do that record." So that's from there I started doing things like, even nowadays, if something's really important, I would just be like, "Listen, we gonna hit this final a week early. Yeah, I gotta go do this."
Yeah.
So
yeah. Beautiful, man. We almost done here, brother.
That's all good.
I remember during the pandemic, you started doing these like a home like performance kind of thing, man. Was that because of the or were you doing that prior to?
No, it was because of the pandemic.
Okay. How were you doing that? Because you were playing all the instruments? Yeah. And you would bring special guests on. Would they record from there?
They would record from their place.
Wow.
So I will put the whole thing together in my basement. I always start with the bass track. It's a key bass. Okay. I would start with the key bass, and then I would add the piano, and then I add the drums, and then I add the vibes. Now, I already know in my head this is what it's going to sound like.
Okay.
I knew exactly how to map. I was like, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to set it up this way. And then I would send it to whoever. Like my first guinea pig was my test was Walter Smith.
Yeah.
And there's a version online. We did George Shearing's Conception. And when I called him, actually Joe Locke was in that too. It was one of the two, Joe Locke or Walter. But I recalled Walter. He's sticking out. I said, Walter, let's play the melody. I got the first solo. You got the next solo. Now, I know how these people play because if you're a true fan or a true studier of this music, you're going to do your homework and know how people play.
Yeah.
So I reacted on drums without him even telling me.
Really?
I already knew exactly what to play. So I just sent him the tracks and I was like, just record over this, record yourself in landscape mode on the phone, send me all the files back and I put it together. Wow. So over that time period, I think I probably made like 14 of those videos.
Yeah, yeah.
And so off of that, I just kept going because I was with Mac Avenue.
Yeah. You're no longer with Mac Avenue?
No, I'm no longer with them. And because I was throwing ideas at them. I was like, how about this? How about this? So my last record I did with them was a Christmas record. We called it Christmas Vibes.
Okay. So
after I started doing all the videos at home, I said, well, instead of me, because I mean, I had money, but I didn't want to spend it all in the studio on like paying everybody. So I said, you know what, just Warren, you're talented enough to do this by yourself. So that's what I did.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I came into Blue House Studios where we are now. And I did everything at home. I did all the bass, piano, drums, vibes. And
did you pay yourself?
Oh yeah, I should. I took one mug from here, put it in the other pocket. But I did the whole record at home, and then I came into Blue House and we added some horns and some vocals. Wow. And that record came out last year. We called it Warren Wolf Chano Pozo Origins. Now it's funny. Now check this out. I should have mentioned that too a long time ago. Chano Pozo, as we all know, is the percussionist with Dizzy Gillespie. Mm-hmm. My father, who was such a huge fan of percussion, gave me the nickname of Chano Pozo when I was born.
Wow.
So it's kind of, this album is letting listeners know who I am. That's it. Your first question, who was Warren Wolf?
Yeah.
I should have started with that. So if we have to edit that, which I don't think we will, who was Warren Wolf? My name is Chano Pozo.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay.
Like
gotcha.
My aunts, uncles, cousins, friends from the hood, nobody calls me Pozo. Everybody knows me as Chano.
Wow.
The only reason I decided to go by the name Warren, which is my government name, the only reason I did that is because growing up in Edmondson Village, growing up in the hood, I didn't feel like fighting. Yeah, physically fighting, because if I told people my name is Chano, and this is just dumb little kids joke, oh, you Chinese. Yeah. They would do stuff like that. Yeah. And it was bad enough with the last name Wolf coming up as a little kid, because when they at school, when they call your name on the road, is Warren Wolf here? And then you hear all these wolf howls.
Wow, for real?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that's just stuff we had to deal with. Yeah. But that's the record. Warren Wolf Chano Pozo Origins. I did the whole thing in the house by myself, minus the horns.
Is it on now? Do you have your own label? Are you on another label?
No, I'm just independent.
Independent, okay.
Yeah, but I have a new record coming out in August.
Okay,
it's with the label Cellar Records, run by a guy named Corey Weeds. It's this project I've been touring for the past 3 years. It's called The History of the Vibes.
Wow. So how many records have you done thus far?
This is probably number 10. 10?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, man. So, man, your legacy is there.
Yeah, man.
See, as I get older, man, it's all about your legacy. Mm-hmm. So you, some cats leave the planet, man. You don't even know they were here. Yeah. But it's good that you're a composer. Do you have a process for composition?
Nowadays, I write songs for somebody. It has to be a reason. I have to be influenced by something.
Okay.
Like I've wrote a number of compositions for my wife. Even with the SF Jazz Collective, I've been a part of that group for 10 years. I mean, the majority of that time we've taken people.
What is the SF
Jazz Collective?
Yeah, what is that?
In short, even though they don't like this, to say it like this. It means San Francisco Jazz Collective, but they don't call it that. Like as an organization, it's just SF Jazz.
I got you.
So the SF Jazz Collective is a group full of quote unquote all-star musicians, and we come together every October and we rehearse material. Okay. So just a few names who have played in that band over since I've been.
Josh was in that one.
Yeah, in the very beginning.
Yeah,
but he wasn't in the band when I first joined. When I first joined the band, it was Miguel Saindon, David Sanchez up front, at least the horns. Miguel, David, Avishai Cohen on trumpet, Robin Eubanks. And on the rhythm section was Ed Saindon, Matt Pim, and Obed Calvert. Okay. Now the group has definitely changed over the years. Like we had Sean Jones, who's another Baltimore guy now. The current band, it's just three horns. It's myself, David, Mike Rodriguez on trumpet, and Chris Potter. Ooh, and the rhythm section, Kendrick Scott, Matt Brewer, and still Ed Saindon.
Gotcha.
So right now on this upcoming season, we are writing based off of art. Like, just we actually visited a art museum a few months ago, and they showed us some material that's not even out on the floors yet. It's behind the scenes. So they showed us about maybe 50 pieces of art, and we're composing to pieces of art that we have chosen that we liked, that touches us.
Now, when you're playing with cats on this level, and y'all come together, is it magical?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, is it easy? I mean, not easy in the sense of, you ain't got to worry about cats not holding down there.
Well, especially with that band, I don't have to worry about anything. Why? Here's number one. You know how a lot of times in our music, say like if you have an original composition, most times in jazz music, we're gonna rehearse it maybe a couple hours before the gig.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, we might run it once or twice. Yeah. We're like, all right, that was cool. We'll get through it on this gig, and we'll play it again another time. And this band, like I said, we go to San Francisco every October for the entire month. We are rehearsing every day.
Wow.
From 10 o'clock until 5.
Wow.
So we have time to grow.
Yeah.
So is it magical? Yes. It's magical to the sense for me is that everybody is bad. Everybody is killing.
Yeah.
So there are no complaints. Like there's nobody who's going to be like, oh, I can't play this. I mean, I think in my 10 years in that band, there was one time where the entire band was like, this is hard.
Wow.
That was a Miguel Saindon arrangement of Nardis.
Wow.
That was hard.
Okay.
But outside of that, everybody's just great musicians in their own right. Everybody's great readers. We're great players. And we put all of our egos to the side, because we all know we're good. But we're not coming in there like, oh, I'm better than you and I shouldn't have to do this. That's all checked out the door. We all come together as a collective and we're brothers. And we have fun.
Yeah.
Music should be fun. We don't, I mean, yes, we take it seriously, but we do clown around a little bit. Yeah. But, we have fun playing the music and we collaborate. And this is very special to be around a group of people like that.
Wow. Beautiful. We almost done here, man. I just wanted to, as an educator, where have you taught, like all the places?
Berklee College of Music. Again, as soon as I graduated, Temple University. Currently, I'm teaching at two schools. That's Peabody Conservatory here in Baltimore. Well, there in Baltimore. And San Francisco Conservatory of Music. They have a program that's a part of the school. It's called the RJAM, which stands for Roots, Jazz, and American Music.
And what are some of the challenges that you found in jazz education?
I don't really find it. Well, it would probably be more or less from the students. Some students you just can't tell them everything.
Gotcha.
Or some students want to tell you what they think. And then my question back to them is, well, why are you here? You know what I mean? So that would be that right there. No challenges.
Okay. Do you enjoy teaching?
I do. Okay. Because because I've had such a long gap from teaching, I'm trying to find the best way to actually navigate my life into the whole teaching schedule. So a big thing of teaching for me, I try not to do it necessarily week by week syllabus. Now, I know we have the syllabus, which is there, and it helps for that. But the true way of learning this music, again, in my opinion, it's all about the hang.
About that, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to hang with my students. Granted, I know a lot more than them, but I try to hang with them and we talk about music. We may sit down, we may play sometimes. I actively play with my students a lot.
Wow.
Because I think in order to get better, you have to be around people that are better than you, but who are going to push you.
No doubt.
So I try to just always play with them a lot. I think it's pretty cool. I don't mind it at all.
I got 3 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now I call these my final question. How do you balance having a family and being a working musician playing all over the world?
So relationships are good. I talk to my students about this because it's important. I can tell you, man, I've met a number of ladies in my life, and they've actively said, Warren, you're cool, but I would never date you because I need my man home every night.
Yeah.
But for me, I have a partner, my wife. We went to high school together. She is a ballerina. That's the word I was looking for earlier. She is very supportive of what I do. She's an artist. She understands. So the number one thing for anybody out there, this camera, find your partner who supports you.
Yes.
Because a lot of people out here, they say they support you, but until you start traveling, they be like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
But my wife is super supportive. And also, I got to give a big shout out to my mother-in-law. Because when I'm not in town, she does a bulk, a lot of it. Like she'll pick my kids up, from school and bring them home and things like that. My older 3 kids live in Boston, so I'm a divorced parent.
Okay.
They're grown. They're the older ones. I'm really speaking about the younger 2 right now. But my they all understand. Yeah. Even my ex-wife, they all understand what it is, what I do, and
works out.
It works.
Yeah. Now, is your biological mom still living?
No. So I lost my mom 8 years ago. I always know because of my
how
youngest.
Important. I always got to give mom some. How important was mom in your life?
Big time.
Okay,
big
come
time.
On now, talk about it.
When I was traveling, doing all the like when I said that I went on tour with the Baltimore Symphony, I'm just giving you a few examples. She was the one who went on tour. It wasn't my dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. She went with you?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
I mean, the new supervisor. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought we were just staying in cool hotels. But she traveled all around with me, but not just music stuff, just in general. Yeah. Like times I need a rental car and I didn't have a credit card. She will always be the one there for me. Gotcha. Somebody I could, I could always talk to just in general. Yeah. My mom was always the one there for me. But she passed away 8 years ago. Okay. And my father passed away 2 years ago. Good. So I didn't necessarily get into deep conversations with him, but always mom.
Gotcha.
Always.
No doubt about it. So, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
What's next for Warren Wolf?
What's next? Well, like I said, I'm gearing up for this record. That's coming out on August 23rd, History of the Vibes. Music-wise, I'll answer that in 2 different ways. I have a few different projects that I'm trying to tap into. There's a piece of music that Chick Corea composed with Gary Burton and the String Quartet. It's called The Lyric Suite for Sextet.
Okay.
I really want to tour that more in chamber halls. It's jazz, but it's more or less 80% classical. You're reading a lot. There's room for improv, but it's not a typical jazz piece. It's 7 movements. So that's one thing I'm looking to get off the ground for 2025 and beyond. I look at somebody like McBride, what he does? He has all those bands.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I want to tour that, on the chamber side, but at the same time, tour my History of the Vibes band to let people know about my instrument. But at the same time, still do this other band with Brent Berklee, which is, a little bit more soul or R&B based jazz.
Yeah.
And I think the last project was never the last, but another one I'm looking forward to doing at some point is collaborating with drummer Thomas Pridgeon. I want to do, and I've talked about this for years. I'm just finally coming up. I want to do more of a jazz rock.
Wow.
Should I call it rock? No, jazz metal.
Jazz metal?
Jazz metal.
Wow.
Metal drummer. Like if people know his drummer, like he toured with a group called the Mars Volta. They're just straight, like, those guys with the those cats with the long hair and they just be jumping all around stage. But he's also just a phenomenal musician, even with his powerhouse chops on drums.
Wow.
Yeah, the idea is to do a jazz metal band, but not hitting jazz clubs.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I want to hit these rock clubs, and it doesn't necessarily be an acoustic vibes. I can get electric vibes. You know, I like mess with the guitar, but I want to dive more into that.
Beautiful.
On the personal side, you know, just continue to watch all of my kids grow.
Yeah.
Let things evolve with me and my wife. Continue to travel. You know, not because I don't. I mean, I take life seriously, but I also enjoy life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I'm not that guy who just likes to wants to practice all the time and just be 100% into the music. Even though I am 100% into the music, I believe in going on dates. I believe on going. I believe in
going to the beach.
Yeah, going to the beach. I believe in taking the time out and spending time with my lady and taking a trip. Like, you know, I think one of the best things I can recall me and her doing. I went to Melbourne, Australia, with the SF Jazz Collective in October last year, and she came.
Wow,
that's such a different feeling.
Yeah,
you know, when you're able to be in a whole nother country, do the gig for an hour, but then you know you got the whole day free in a completely different country with somebody that you really care about.
Going to a nice restaurant,
nice going to, because my wife, she likes excursions. Like she straight up told me, I'm not flying all y'all here to watch you play. I can catch you at home. If I'm flying all y'all here, we doing something. So, you know, we get to do all that type of, but it really means a lot for me for that, because you know, I mean, like I said, we could talk here all night. The road is great, but it could also be very lonely.
It
can be super lonely, man, because you get caught in this routine of just, especially when you're traveling. Like, I mean, no matter where you're traveling, you can be tired from the time changes, but the people don't care about that. The people they pay money to come see you play, so you got to get it together. That's but like I said, you get into this routine of just going to sound check, eating dinner, show, sleep, and then travel, doing it again. So usually when I get to these cities, no matter how tired I am, I'll go for a walk. Because I want to see these cities. Chances are, depending on how busy you are, you're only going to hit these cities maybe 3 or 4 times in your life. That's it. And I want to make the most of my life. I want to see these cities. I want to taste their foods. I want to meet the people. I want to play for the people. I want to just dive into their culture. And
So you enjoy life?
I do. Yeah, I have no complaints in life, man. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm living the perfect life, but I'm living a really good life. I'm good.
So when you're on that plane and you going to like a nice country, and do you contemplate like where you come from and where and the stuff you're doing now? Yeah,
very much.
How's the ride been?
It's been good. I mean, I really think about like what you just said, man. You know, I got family members. Like, I mean, just how we talking. I grew up in the hood. You know, I'm straight up hood product. Yeah. But I'm cool about it. You know how it is. But I got. Yeah, I'm sure you got friends like this too. I have friends who've never even been out of Baltimore. Yeah. Probably been out of Philly, never been out, you know, and I don't take any of that for granted. Because, you know, for me to be able to say, for instance, like last year, this is talking about a supportive wife. I wasn't burnt out, but I just wanted to take a break. So I told my wife, I said, baby, I'm going to LA for a week. And that's what I did. Wow. I went and got a hotel up in Burbank. And I went to LA and I didn't touch an instrument. I didn't go to any jazz spots. I just kind of walked up and down the beach and just chilled. Went to a couple of restaurants, hung out with a couple friends. Wow, it's good to do that. Just recharge quickly.
So you making me think, man, there's some money in jazz.
Oh man, listen, we got conversation for days, bro. I'm telling you, if you ask the right promoters, you just. I learned that from Curtis Lundy.
Really,
bass player. We were in Italy once, and the promoters had already told us. The only thing we serving y'all for dinner is pasta. I'm like, no meat, no fish, no
pasta.
nothing, just straight pasta.
Wow.
And I'm young. This is like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I was like, all right, cool. I see Curtis London at the same table. He got pasta and fish. I was like, how you get that? They only told us pasta. He was like, if you know Curtis, he was like, young blood, all you gotta do is ask.
Yeah.
He was like, if they don't got it, they don't got it, but just ask anyway.
Yeah.
So you talking about, is there money in jazz?
Yeah.
There's plenty of money in jazz.
Y'all hear that?
There's plenty of money in jazz music. You just gotta ask for it.
Gotcha.
And know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people don't, they will accept anything. They be like, we're gonna just play for this.
Gotcha.
No, there's money to be made in this music, bro.
Okay.
I mean, the jazz and classical music might be what, 3% of the market?
Mm-hmm.
It's still money.
Yeah.
And just to be honest with you, to my knowledge, I was gonna post about this, but I don't feel like talking about it online. A lot of the music, I mean, a lot of the money that people make in R&B, it's the same as jazz.
Wow.
They just on a bigger stage.
Yeah. Wow.
People may think that, just like how people get caught up in social media, be like, "Oh, this is real."
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, these cats on R&B, it's the equivalent of a really good jazz gig, financially.
Yeah. Wow.
They just on a bigger stage where they don't have to dress up.
Wow.
And people ain't dressing up in jazz.
You done let the cat out the bag.
It's the absolute truth, man. I'm not gonna lie to you about it. I mean, there's a certain individual in jazz, or I won't say his name because I'm not gonna talk about who's paying me what.
Yeah.
He asked me to come in to do a studio session. I'm thinking before he called me, I'm like, I'm about to get broke off. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, yeah, we just need you for a day, man. I hit you up with $1,000. I was like, hold on. Not saying that's it, but I'm like, that's it? I was like, that's what we get in jazz.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
In order for you to like really go beyond like financially in music in general, jazz or whatever, I mean, your name has to be up there. Like, I'm not even saying he's the best drummer. The guy I'm thinking about is like Tommy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
He can probably go do a show and make $20,000.
Ooh.
Because of who he is and the women he's dated and his celebrity status.
Yeah.
But most of us, it's all the same.
It's a grind.
Yeah, the money it's all the same. Again, they just doing it on a bigger scale. I mean, I've talked to some of the girls who, like Tia Fuller, she's one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna put her, not gonna put her business out there. But I know what she was making with Beyonce, and like when Beyonce had the all-girl band. Yeah, it's not what you think. I'm not saying it's bad. Yeah, but you would think it's a lot more. Yeah, but it's not what. Yeah, it's not what you're thinking. Wow.
Man, we can go here for days, man. Yeah. Hey, bro. Man, can you tell the people if they want to contact you?
Yes.
Could you tell them how they can get in touch with you and learn about what you're doing?
If you want to reach me, you can hit me on my website, www.warrenwolf.com, and all of my handles, Facebook, Instagram, X. What's the other one?
I don't know.
I forget the name of this place. Or the TikTok. Even though that's gonna be gone soon. All of my handles are Warren Wolf, and then put the number 1, Warren Wolf 1. And I'm very active on all of them. If anybody have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. I love sharing knowledge. My dad was a historian. I remember when he passed, or right before he passed, he said, I have all this knowledge and history, and I have no one to share it with.
Ooh, that's heavy.
I don't want to be that way. I mean, I know it's going to come down to that at some point many years later. Uh-huh. But while I'm still here and while I still remember, you know, I just love to share whatever I know because, you know, I want to keep this thing going. I want to see younger people succeed in this music and, you know, just take their gifts and talents. You know, like LeBron James, I want to take my talents somewhere.
Yeah. Well, my brother, man, I'm grateful that you was able to share some of yourself and your accomplishments and your history with us here on the Conversation in Jazz. Yes, sir. Man. And I, you know, I think that personally, some people are chosen for certain things, and you're one of the cats like chosen. Like to me, Christian McBride was chosen. Yeah. Roy Hargrove chosen. Just not that we're not all chosen,
Yeah.
but we're chosen for
I
specific
understand.
things. But you're one of the cats I think just had that kind of thing, that kind of impact.
Yeah,
And to me, I think you're just getting started, man. So thank you again, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. And continue doing great things. And one day I'll be good enough to call you and say, man, can you come play on my album? I got you in mind. I'm gonna let you know that.
Oh, but I did one song with you.
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
What was that one?
Yeah,
I covered the waterfront.
Yeah, I covered the waterfront. Yeah, I was just doing. I like to produce a little bit, so
it's all good.
Yeah, so
just hit me up.
But I got something I'm working on that I got you in mind, so
you got it, bro.
Man. There it is. You've been listening to the great, the one and only Mr. Warren Wolf, right here on A Conversation in Jazz, and we'll see you on the next one.